So let's hand over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Simon. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm just getting the WebEx to share what I need it to share. Great. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Lovely. And I don't know if you can see me at the same time or not.
We can. At least I can.
Even better. Sorry, it's the first time I'm using WebEx, so this is new to me. Well, let me just tell you something briefly about Christ Church. We're in Chineham, as we pronounce it, which is a suburb of Basingstoke. And it's an unusual place because it's a local ecumenical partnership of 4 different denominations. And so I do seek your forgiveness because I'm the Anglican minister in the room, and a Baptist minister, and a Methodist minister, and a URC minister, bizarrely. So we're a lovely mix of different traditions, just trying to keep Jesus the main thing. And when I arrived in the church, I was really delighted to discover that we were already an eco church. So good work had been done. A lot of good work had happened before I came. We had somebody who was an eco champion, and got everybody thinking well and working well. And so I didn't need to do a whole lot to encourage it. But things have developed over time. And one of the things that we now do is we run a repair cafe that's hosted at the church, and I'm one of the founding trustees of. And once a month, we have maybe 40 guests come through with broken items, and we fix most of them whilst people are there.
Brilliant.
Which is great. And I think this has been the best new thing that we've been doing in the last few years. So I think a lot of the messages have become quite familiar, but this seemed like a practical way of trying to make some practical action, some practical difference.
Brilliant.
And I could talk more about that another time, if you'd like. But thinking about Climqate Sunday, we've done a few of these in the last few years, and I thought you might appreciate seeing both what we have done on a particular one, but also our way of doing some all-age worship times. And so that's what I'm going to show you next. Is that for part of the service, we literally can get up and go and do something different from each other. And I introduce that by saying, so this is building off some work that Scripture Union were advertising and publishing of maybe 8 years ago, called Learning Styles, or sorry, with a similar idea to learning styles, but adapting that to spiritual styles, but spiritual learning. And saying that we can all learn in different ways, but we have a preference for different ways. So a preference maybe for seeing or hearing, by reading something, by doing something, reflecting, or by talking about it. And so what we do, and I'll show you this example, but we split up into different groups for 20 minutes of the service. We don't always do all 6 of them because that's quite a lot to arrange. But we're fortunate to have a building which is big enough to have at least 4 separate spaces that we can use at the same time. So this is what we did on our last Climqate Sunday. So we started by reading Psalm 104 together. I forget quite how we did it now, but I think it was partly call and response. And then I introduced this concept that we were going to split up into these different spaces. And the play, and we call them different zones. So the play zone is typically one for the younger children. But we do say with all of these, you don't have to do the same as you did last time. Adults can play, children can meditate, you can do what you like. And crucially, we say, and parents don't have to be with their children. Children could go and do something different from their parents if they want. we do make sure that we have enough responsible adults in every room, of course. So in one area we had the play, and there were, and what we did was, I'm sorry I don't have a picture of it, but we put pictures of different animals and some different big plants up around the edge of the room, and typically the children, I think it was mostly children in there, were just asked to, look around, see which ones they particularly liked, which ones that they were less keen on, and I wasn't leading this zone, but there was some sort of reflection that they then did based upon that. And I think we also have some wonderful blocks that are like that look like bricks, but are actually just rubber, and they can be used in all sorts of ways. And I think we use them to say, well, and make the shape of your favourite animal if it isn't one up around the room, and they're safe to play with any ages. We also have a create zone, and I have got a picture of this one in operation. So what we did was we got a big piece of banqueting roll and doubled it over, and then invited people, and then had tissue paper and glue, as well as lots of different pens and things, and just said, and as you can see here, we've definitely got adults as well as children, saying to them, draw something that you are thankful to God for in creation, in his wonderful creation, or something that you want to see made better in creation. And then just getting free rein to do whatever they wanted to with that brief. We had slightly more around it than I was expecting at any one time. And I have to say the end result was a bit of a mess. But hey, it was done creatively, and it was what they were after, and what motivated them. The idea was, though, that we were going to then hang this in our sort of entrance area, and we did do that, but you couldn't really tell what was going on because no one bit of it was sort of big and clear enough. But it's something that we've used since, and I'm afraid I don't have a picture of it up, but I've got a picture of the next banner along that we did a few weeks ago, where we made it we learned from that example, and we made it a bit clearer. So we outlined something to fill in and decorate, and I think that's a little bit clearer. But it was still nice to see what people liked, and so there were people doing fish in the ocean, and there was trees and all sorts of things there. So back to our zones. Then I write some discussion questions for the group, and we have a separate room set aside with some circles of chairs, and they talk through the questions for 20 minutes. So I try and keep it open-ended questions and linked to the psalm in this case, or the passage of the day. And then always there are some people who don't want to go off and do anything else. And so in the main place that we have our worship, we always say, well, you can meditate, or I give a different sheet out to anybody that just wants to do some more reading. And so I'll then give some further scripture passages, and sometimes an article to think about, and then some questions for them to think through on their own rather than talking about it with other people. And so we keep that a quiet space, a quietish space for people. And then a few minutes before the 20 minutes is up, the pianist will start playing over, and people gradually come back in. And then on this particular one, we were also linking it with harvest, and so we have part of the harvest thing, as you'd expect, and oh, there we can see, yes, on the floor there are the things that came out of the play zone as well, of writing about those things that they enjoyed seeing. And so we were thanking God for those things and bringing them forward on the floor there. We're still live streaming every week. And so it's a little bit of a challenge doing this zone whilst the live stream is going on. But what we do is I then just put something on the screen for those people, which is a sort of amalgam of the reading and the meditating and the things. So that's what I prompted for them.
Good idea.
So that's what we have done for most, not all of our old age worships, we using this style, but for many of them. And I persisted with it, and people have really come to appreciate it. Well, as best you can tell when you're the vicar. And the feedback is that there is truly something for all ages. It's not just childish worship. The design of it is that it actually gives something of value to all ages. And then normally at the end of the zone time, I then have an open microphone, and anybody that wants to say something that they've realised, thought, questions that have come, as part of that idea of saying, well, we're not having a set sermon today, but we're discovering together. And in fact, we call this the all age together services. So I'm going to stop sharing and just show you two other resources. Hang on, that'd be the wrong one. I want to stop the video, not leave the meeting. How do we do that? Stop. Can't see how to do that. Share. Stop. There we are. So two other resources I found helpful, which you may have come across, of course. You familiar with this? Don't stop at the lights. And it's a guide from Church House Publishing through all the different seasons of the church year, for practical ideas for Pentecost, sermon points for Ascension and Pentecost, Thursday, Sunday, and ordinary time.
Jonathan, are you trying to share something at the moment?
No. No.
Okay, all right.
I think you stopped your video, Jonathan.
Oh.
If you're holding something up to the camera, we can't see it because you've stopped your video.
Okay. Oh, right. Sorry about
Don't you worry.
That's better.
That's good.
So I haven't been able to use anything here without adapting, but then that's normally the case.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, that allows you just to go, okay, how can I bring some ideas at almost any point of the year? So that's helpful. And then the other group that I found helpful is called Engage Worship. And here's an example of something, a small little booklet, just on how to actually go outside in worship. We're fortunate to have some grounds that we can do some things in around the building. Not everybody would, of course. But they're also very good at producing other creation-related resources, not just outdoor worship, but they have some other little books, though I couldn't put my hands on them directly. And I've also used some of the songs that they write and record in our services that speak about all sorts of things, but including some on the topic of creation or climate. And so Sarah and Sam Hargreaves from Engage Worship are well worth looking out.
Mm.
And that's me done.